Hey everyone, welcome to Authenticity Loading. I'm your host, Austin Canfield. We're a new podcast that's all about original stories from Northern California and beyond. I'm here with Felicia McNiff from Sacramento. Thank you so much for joining us and being one of our first guests on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm always doing great most of the time.
Something I'd love to open with on the show is to ask, what's your favorite thing about Northern California? And for you, what would that be?
And I've been all up and down it too. I've lived in Eureka. I've worked in Trinidad. I've been all the way up there, and then you go over there, and then you're in Oregon. The whole coastal part is amazing in Northern California. If you're driving up that 101, you will wreck your car just staring outside at the ocean and all the beauty that's out there. Northern California is amazing. And then even though it's, I don't know, is Sacramento Northern California? I think it's the Central Valley,
definitely.
sort of. It's sort of, at the end of the valley. But Sacramento is a wonderful part of it as well, and it's the rivers that make it, in my opinion.
So would you say that the California coast is sort of your favorite part?
It's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I am more of a river girl than, river rat, Sacramento river rat, than an ocean girl. But it's all beautiful.
I've actually never been to the Eureka area. Could you tell me more about that?
It's cold, and it's dramatic. There's ocean, and then there's redwoods, and once in a while it'll snow, and you'll have snow on the beach, and that's really something.
Wow, snow on the beach. I've
Yeah,
never.
that's really something. And the people are warm, and it's sort of the Wild West of self-expression. You can really be whoever you want out there. And there's a really tight community that supports all manner of diversity. And there's also a lot of crafting because the weather, it gets cold, it starts raining, it's foggy. They say if you don't go out in the rain in Eureka, you don't go out.
Yeah.
And and then there's a lot of fishing. You can get fresh crab out there and tuna and salmon, and there's and like I said, the crafting is a big deal. There's lots of craft fairs, lots of pottery and felting and sewing, and people making cute aprons and just all kinds of whatnot.
One of my favorite quotes is, "There's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing."
Right, you're right about that. That's just like the right tool for the job. You don't always want to use a butter knife. You could get a screwdriver. So you need a lot of coats. When you live in Sacramento, coats are sort of optional. You can have a jacket in Sacramento. You can get by with a jacket. You buy a coat if you're going to go to Tahoe or you're going to go to San Francisco. Sacramento is so, at nighttime it's been getting cold. But during the day when you want to do stuff, a jacket's really all you need. But up north, it's really, really cold. And I had several coats. When I moved up there, I was up there for 8 years, and it took 4 years to get used to the cold. I was not ready for it, and I was not born for it, for sure.
What first took you up there?
Oh, my husband at the time got a job opportunity. He worked for the phone company here in Sacramento, and he got an opportunity to manage a yard up there on near Humboldt Hill. And so he worked there, and then I got a job out there at a local jewelry store. After a while, I didn't need to right away, but I got one after a while. I had to go back and forth from Sacramento there every weekend to look for a house to live in, and then we finally found one, and I said, all right, let's go, and we loaded up everything, and that was the furthest move I've ever done personally for myself, so that was a long way.
Would you consider Sacramento your original hometown?
Oh, absolutely. I was born in the Bay, but we didn't stay out there very long. I've lived in Rio Linda area. I've lived downtown, which is the best. If you're going to live in Sacramento, live downtown. Everything else is just sprawl. It's really, really far flung. So it's nice to live in downtown because then you're near all the places that you need to go to if you need to do stuff.
Is downtown kind of where you are these days?
I live in Natomas, but I live on a southern edge of Natomas, which is really close to Discovery Park. So it's 10 minutes from downtown.
Oh yeah, Discovery Park. That's where they have the
Yes.
Aftershock Festival.
Yes, and I found out some years ago that it's part of it's Discovery Park and part of it is called Tiscornia, and I had no idea.
Oh, what's Tiscornia? I've never heard that either.
I know, isn't that weird? I looked it up, and it is on a map, And there's a story behind it that I used to know, but I don't remember now. Anybody can look it up, but it's called Tiscornia Park.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I lived in West Sacramento most of my life. I had most of my birthday parties in that park, and I never knew that. So that was always fun to learn a new thing about an old place.
So when people say Natomas, I've heard there's like a north and a south Natomas. Can you explain kind of what the difference is?
Well, South Natomas is old. North Natomas is new.
Got it.
Because between the old part where I am and Rio Linda, there was nothing at all for a very long time. Just, you could even drive the Levee Road from Del Paso Road. You could drive the Levee Road for a fun and dangerous shortcut into Rio Linda. But you can't do that now, and there's a lot of new houses and new neighborhoods. There are a lot, there's mostly like HOA style and condos and things like that, and they're all beige. And not to be like that, but it's kind of hideous. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum when it comes to houses, food, or people. But, we need houses. Yeah, that's how they build them absolutely. Now. That's how they build them.
So. I actually lived up in North Natomas for a little while. I had some roommates up there. And I remember somebody moved into a house on the block and they painted the house from beige to brown. And it was just the community uproar.
Oh, my God. Thinking for yourself. Stop that. We don't want that around here.
But it was nice, though. We lived along where, like, the Greenway and the park is. So I could go out and go for a run. And they had the Natomas, the Jive bus. So I could take that down to the Amtrak station downtown. And I used to work in Davis. So if I didn't drive, like, that was a good alternate commute.
Amtrak is a nice ride. Yeah. Sometimes if I'm going to San Francisco or I'm going to Oakland, I don't feel like driving because they're having some kind of big weekend out there. Because often there's some kind of big weekend thing in both of those cities. I just take the train. Yeah. And Uber to where I'm going to go. Yeah. It's just a lot less headache, and you can have a little cocktail on the train on your way, and it's pleasant. Yeah.
So do you feel like living in Sacramento has shaped sort of part of who you are?
Oh, absolutely. I am a Sacramento girl. I'm a river rat. I like to go see the river cats, or I used to once in a while. Now it's the A's, which is blowing my mind.
I know.
My uncle would be spinning in his grave right now if he knew the A's were in Sacramento. I don't think he'd be able to cope. That might have killed him.
I know it's temporary, but yeah, I thought the same thing. It's like, wow, the Oakland A's are now the Sacramento A's for a little while.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk in Oakland because I was living in Oakland when it happened.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and there's a lot of talk about how Oakland is, selling everything they have, and it's getting poorer and poorer and poorer out there. I could tell you about Oakland if you ever wanted to know about that, because I lived up there for a couple of years, and it's it's one of my favorite places, but it's really, really gritty.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like the gritty, though. I have some family that live in Oakland, and they live in a little bit of a nicer part, but still, it's
like you
nice
live up in the hills, or
kind of, yeah. I mean, it's nice to walk around Lake Merritt, and it's different culture.
It's very beautiful, and they got some good sushi out there.
Definitely,
man, they got good sushi out there.
We love all of the Asian grocery stores and everything. Sure. And people say they like the Costco in Oakland because it's more of the Asian Costco, I guess.
It is. It's interesting. It's sort of like, even if you don't buy anything, you're walking around in there is sort of an eye-opener.
Yeah.
There used to be an Asian grocery store over there by Land Park, and I would take my kids to it. And it had live fish and lobsters, and they liked to go look at the live fish. Mm-hmm. Just to, like a little free zoo. They like to look at the fish and the lobsters and the clams and poke them and, do kid things. Do what kids do. We'd look at ingredients. Yeah, Sacramento actually has quite a lot of good Asian markets.
Was that the SF market that used to be there in Land Park? The Shun Fat?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a couple of them. I guess it's like a regional chain of grocery stores. So it's really neat. I love all the different ethnic grocery stores that they have around Sacramento.
Yeah, there's a real good one. It's a Thai one, and you can get fresh, hot Thai sausages and purple rice packaged there, and they're ready to eat, and they're delicious. Thai sausage has lemongrass in it. It's wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, my God. You definitely should. I'll tell you where it is when this is over.
So I'm curious, when someone asks you who you are as Felicia, what are some parts of your life that you tend to mention first?
Well, That's interesting because I've lived kind of a long time now, and it's hard to. Gosh, no one's ever asked me who I was. I was just talking about that yesterday or this morning. I was talking about how when I like somebody, and I decide I want them to be my friend, I will pursue them relentlessly until they are. And all of my friends will tell you that, because most of my friends are people who don't want friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so it's like an exclusive club, and I like one-on-one friendships quite a lot, and so I seek people out who are sort of introverted, and just I don't know, I just choose people like that. They're really fun, and also I do a lot of cooking. Some of my identity is what I was doing for a living, which was line cook, and I do a lot of housewife things. I've been married a couple of times. I can make really good sandwiches, and I'm with somebody right now who's really nice, and he makes me breakfast, and he makes my coffee, and he brings me my meds in the morning, for my blood pressure and whatnot. And so I'm receiving service now that I used to just give for years and years and years. When you have kids, over time you're making 1,000 cupcakes.
Yeah.
You got all these pizza parties. You've got soda, and you've got PTA, and you've got whatever they need, thousands and thousands of dollars, and all of your time. So I guess I'm just like, I'm a nurturer. I believe there's nobility in service. Service workers, that's a sort of a nobility. I really like the way it's portrayed in English shows like Downton Abbey and Upstairs, Downstairs, where they give you the story of the downstairs people, the invisible people, who you just say anything in front of. Are you kidding me? They just say anything in front of them like they're made of totem poles, and they don't remember and think about it. And because they have to gauge the behavior of their employer to see, geez, they're in a spot right now. I have to make this work because I don't want to be out of a job, in case it's a financial issue or some kind of staffing issue. And they're like, oh, I got to save my job. So they start stabbing each other in the back so that someone else gets fired. And I guess life is like that. But I just think there's a lot of nobility in service, and you don't need recognition for that. Goodness is its own reward.
Yeah, servant leadership, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe goodness is its own reward. You give and you don't think about it later. You just keep giving, and then good things happen to you from peripheral areas, and you're you're taken care of in that way.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at life in general. I'm curious, if you could make anything that you wanted to cook, what would it be?
Well, this morning I was looking at these cookies that look really, really good. A Swedish princess cake.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Someone's making miniatures in cookie form.
I have to look at that.
I'll send you the link. Oh, I almost had a heart attack this morning looking at it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make that. That looks so good. They're so beautiful with the green marzipan over the top and the little rosette. It's just like, that's probably going to be Christmas for me this year. Tins and the best looking cookies I can make for my friends and family.
Love it.
Yeah.
My husband and I like going to the Etere Bakery on Fair Oaks. They always have the most beautiful princess cakes, and of course lots of other cakes.
Yeah.
And we say, should we indulge? Should we go get a slice of princess cake?
Oh, don't twist my arm. Should we? I think that's wonderful. I was just looking at those this morning, and there was a little place. Oh, well, yeah, Estelle's over there on K Street. They have a few nice looking things. I don't think they have princess cake, but I have to go to Ettores. I kind of feel like I need to eat one so that I can understand what they're supposed to be like.
Yeah.
It's quality assurance for a future project, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious what a good day in your typical life would look like.
I love feeling good in the morning. Once in a while, I feel good in the morning, and I don't have anything to do, and so I just run around with my partner, and he's very special. He's the only straight man I know that likes antiquing. He loves antiquing. he actually goes and looks for things that he likes on his own. Like, he's not just following me around carrying my purse. He's looking around and he's buying things that he's interested in. The last thing he bought was these really cool wood blocks for printing on saris that he got at the one on 21st and X, the antique shop over there.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. We've wanted to go in many times.
No, you must. The same guys have been owning it forever, and they have a beautiful assortment, and that's my shop. I go in there. I've bought several things. And so he goes in there and he buys things. We look at jewelry together. He likes jewelry. I like jewelry. And we go out and have a nice lunch somewhere. We do a nature walk. I love all that. I love walking around in Ansel Hoffman Park.
Yeah.
I love walking around Discovery Park. I have a lot of memories in that park. A lot of memories. In fact, one is really weird. I was with somebody, my ex-husband now, but we had actually met in 1986. And we were over there sitting on a rock, looking at the water, and a pigeon flew off of the top of the bridge and landed in the water and swam over to us. I never seen anything like that before. I'm like, what's wrong with that pigeon? He said, I don't know. And so we helped it get out of the water, and we put it on a table and watched it dry out. And he was teasing me about the pigeon. He's like, let's kill it. And I said, no, because I was 15. I'm like, no. And we were just laughing and talking and everything. And then it just, left. But when does that ever happen?
Yeah,
when
right.
does a bird just jump in the water and swim over to you? It was kind of a nice day. But yeah, a nice day for me is just like going out to breakfast or lunch. And I don't really like going out to dinner because I'm too tired afterward. Yeah. I like a nice lunch. Sushi. Sushi is the number one. I do like Vietnamese food, and my boyfriend really likes Mediterranean. Mm-hmm. Oh man, falafel and gyro and shawarma and all that. He likes that kind of stuff, so we eat that a lot.
We actually just checked out a new sushi place over in South Sac by Cousins River last night, and they had these sushi nachos, which I had never heard of before, and we were so curious, but they were so good. It was like if you took the seaweed, like the thing that you roll the sushi rolls with, but larger in like a chip form, and then I guess it was like deep fried like tempura on top, and then like the sushi poke. It was the best. I would highly recommend it. It was over by like where the Foods Co is. I forget what the name is.
Was it sort of like that seaweed snack where like it's kind of like it's a crispy seaweed and they come in bags and they have a little tempura on them?
Yes.
Kind of
yes,
like
that was kind of like the base. Yeah, and then they put the sushi on top. It was something to try.
That sounds wonderful. There over there on our street and 16th there's a restaurant there that does a poke nacho.
Oh, yeah.
And it's delicious. It's basically it's fried wontons, and they make this tower. They make a tower, and they put, the sauces and the poke tuna, but they mess with you, man. They put tomatoes on there, and it looks like tuna, but it's not. And then you take a bite, and you're like, man, I didn't want a tomato, so you have to ask for it with no tomatoes and extra tuna. Then you get a good meal.
That's a good way to do it.
Where did I just ate at the new one that used to be the Capitol Aquarium. A new sushi place at a soft opening. They have a very nice, that grilled tuna. That's like ahi. Nice and they have that, and they give you quite a good amount, and their sushi rolls are very nice.
Something to try for sure. There's so many restaurants I feel like in this area that by the time you tried them all, you would never be able to try everything because there's so many and so many new openings.
And some of them come and go like lightning. And they're just not here anymore. And then you're like, I didn't even get to try that. So
there was this one place downtown. I think it was on T Street. Maybe it was called South, and it was only there for I don't even know if it was there for a year. But they had the best chicken sandwiches, and I'm from the South, so I really enjoyed someone bringing the Southern comfort food style to Sacramento. It was great while it lasted.
I do like some fried chicken. I sure do. Yum. I like Southern food as well. Yeah. I used to have a restaurant up north, actually. I had a restaurant called Estes Bistro. And I had a little radio spot, bring your bestie to Besties. And I had a little board up where I could take a picture of them and I could hang it up of their bestie, them and their bestie. And it was a cute little spot, and I didn't make it through because it was so new. And but it was great, and I did biscuits and gravy, and proper breakfast like that, and chicken sandwiches. I do fried chicken sandwiches and stuff.
So I'm curious, how did that come about, opening your own restaurant?
Well, I had been working at the Trinidad Bay Eatery for about 5 years, and every time I had an idea, my boss would be like, "That's stupid." I'm like, man, I want to do my own thing, and then the time came where there was an opportunity and an empty building that already had some equipment in it. Boy, was that expensive to even just to get it started. Mm-hmm. But up there, it's a lot easier because Eureka is so small. It takes 10 minutes to get all the way across the town. Mm-hmm. And so the courthouse and all that, there's never any lines in any of these buildings to get the permits and things you need. It's all real chill. And the guy wasn't charging me any rent. So, because it was in a building that he already owned and was getting paid an astronomical amount of money for anyway. Mm-hmm. He's like, I just want free food when I come here. I'm like, all right, I can definitely do that. And so I had coffee and I had sandwiches and soups. I always had like 4 soups going, and I had specials and burritos and sandwiches and Mediterranean food. I had a gyro and a salad and all that kind of stuff. And I had 2 employees, and we did a few caterings for the county because it was a county building. They had child welfare, child support, and stuff like that in the same building, and those were my customers. Mm-hmm. And so when COVID happened, my husband was actually working there. He had transferred from the phone company to working for child welfare, and he said, "I am so sorry, honey. It's my job to send everybody home." Oh. But it was great while it lasted.
Yeah.
And I would wake up in the morning and go, "Self, what's the special today?" I'd say, "Why don't we try this?" And I go, "That sounds great. Let's do it." And I would tell my guy, "We're doing this today." And he'd go, "Okay, boss." There's nothing like "okay, boss." I love that. So it was great for a while. We had a really good time and got to be creative and inventive, and I got to make some birthday cakes for some of the people that would come in. They would say, "Oh, can you make a cake? It's my boss's birthday today, and we're gonna." And so I say, "Sure, I'll make this. I'll make that." So we did.
Yeah, I'm happy that you had a place and a space that you could have like the sort of creative freedom to do that.
Boy, it was not like anything. And now I'm in trouble because it's so hard to hold a regular job once you've been a boss.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. You have to go back to yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
I just lost a job. I got.
I'm sorry.
Well, I had to go. I was living down here, and the eatery called me over the summer. They're like, "Hey, can you help us out? We're having some staffing issues." So I went out and lived in Trinidad for 3 months. Well, my boyfriend was like, "Wow, when are you going home?" I would come home sometimes, but I was living up there for a while, and working for them. And then when that job was over, which was October 31st, she's like, "Okay, great, thanks for getting us through the summer." She gave me a nice bonus. It was sweet. It was a good job. It was good pay and good tips. So I tried to secure something for when I got home, and I did. Mm-hmm. I secured a job in a place, and I was working as hard as I could. I was working really hard, and I was trying to learn really fast, and I had only been there 2 weeks, and they let me go. And I wasn't doing anything wrong. I don't actually know what the issue was. Going in a different direction, I don't know what that means in job lingo, but that's what they said. Mm. And they didn't give me a real excuse that I could like bite into and say, "Well, can we talk about it?" Mm-hmm. I got no coachings. I got no meetings. In fact, the day before, I was like, "Hey, do you want to check in? Do you want to talk about how this is going?" Because they hired me as a shift supervisor. And I thought maybe, every week we were going to have a little meeting and say, "Well, these are my findings. How can we improve? What are we doing that's right, and how can we make this better or faster or more efficient?" But no, they never ever talked to me after I got hired, and then they let me go. And I don't know what happened. So,
sounds like maybe you dodged a bullet. Who knows?
Yeah, nobody there seemed very happy. Yeah. And there was cameras everywhere. I think they were listening, and nobody talked ever. So I'm like, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" I would just start talking, and they're like,
"That seems strange."
Yeah, like doesn't seem like a real free environment, and everyone seemed pretty upset. So anyway, that was that.
Life is life. What can you do?
Life is life.
So I'm curious, outside of work and cooking, what are some other hobbies or passions or interests that you have that kind of shape who you are as a person?
Well, I used to make a lot of things. I used to do some art. I don't really do that anymore. My hands hurt. I've got osteoarthritis now. I showed up on a recent MRI, so I'm only 54. That seems terribly unfair. But I used to like to do a lot of things with my hands, and now I just do a lot of like couch rotting. But I do like travel, and we did travel quite a bit recently. We did 4 weeks in the UK. Before that, we went to Iceland, which I highly recommend. I could die in Iceland. That place is amazing.
What was your favorite thing about Iceland?
The Yule cat. They have a Yule cat. They put up this giant black metal cat. It's got to be 30 feet tall in the square for Christmas. It's got sharp fangs and sharp claws and glowing eyes. And the lore is if you don't get clothes for Christmas, the Yule cat will eat you. Because you might as well be dead in Iceland if you don't have clothes. You might as well just die because it's cold. And they've got grim sort of fairy tale characters that cook children in cauldrons, and they have those displayed out and everything. It's a very metal kind of place. And the volcano was going off in the distance from the airport, and I could see it on the Uber ride. I'm like, oh my God, that volcano is doing it right now. I've never seen that before in person.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that close to it, but it was still happening, and it was exciting. And they have the Aurora Borealis. People are really nice. They're not friendly, but they're cordial.
Yeah.
And some of them are friendlier than others, but their humor is unbelievable. I couldn't get any of their jokes. And I think I know what's funny, but I even picked up a joke book in a store, and I'm reading it. I don't understand why these are funny. And so that was great. There's lots of good shops. The whole place, Reykjavik looks like a whole gingerbread village. It's a beautiful thing.
That's really neat.
All of the outsides of the buildings are made from corrugated metal, all painted different colors of like dark green and dark blue and dark red. Mm-hmm. There's not really any pastel stuff out there. It's all just dark colors. And the pond was frozen over where we were, and there were people ice skating out there. And it's somebody's job to keep a portion of the pond thawed out so swans don't freeze, because there's swans.
Yeah.
And there aren't any cops. I didn't see a Mountie. I didn't see a walk-in one. I didn't see a cop car. I think, like, if something bad happens, you can call somebody. But everyone out there just knows how to act right.
At least that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's, like, no police. I'm like, where's the cops out here? And there aren't any.
Maybe they're not friendly, but at least they behave themselves.
Yeah, they just, like, I don't know. There's a very a high level of comfort. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pay for heat or water.
Oh, wow.
Or hot water, because it's provided by the infrastructure coming from the volcano.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Well, the apartment we stayed in had a heated bathroom floor. It had a radiator in every single room, even the kitchen.
That is one thing I love about Europe. They love putting in the heated floors.
Yes, I do like the heated floor. That's just nice. Iceland was very special. It was a wonderland. We went in wintertime, so there was snow. And there was a soup restaurant that you could pay once and eat all the soup you want. And somebody in America, of course, holds the record for 19 bowls of soup. Their picture was on the wall.
That's a lot.
I'm like, you all American Peggy. Doing? Embarrassing us over here. I think I had 2 servings. I'm like, I'm good.
You said you also went to the UK. Where are some places you visited while you were there?
Well, I went to Amsterdam, and that was very unique. And we went to, it was during the Tulip Festival. There was tulips everywhere.
Oh, yes.
And also during King's Day, Queen's Day, because their king has passed away, so it was Queen's Day. And so everybody was wearing orange when we got there. And the only orange thing I had was my Sublime sweatshirt, and it was gray, but it had an orange sun on it, so I wore that. And they had King's cakes, little Napoleons, covered in orange icing in all the stores. And so Amsterdam was really nice. We were there for a while. And then we went to London, which I didn't care for as much. It was really, really crowded. It was like San Francisco gave birth to two more San Franciscos.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It was really crowded there. But we went to Oxford, and I'll tell you what, you just fall in love every time someone talks to you, the cab driver. Their elocution is so spot on. They have this beautiful tone to the way they speak. And even the cab driver sounded like he was so cultured. That's how they Oxford. It's Oxford, and we went to the colleges and got a tour because there's a show we like to watch called Morse, and it's an English BBC show. It's got John Thaw in it, and a lot of it's filmed in Oxford. And Endeavour is also filmed in Oxford, and Endeavour is the younger version of him on a different show. Mm-hmm. And so we got the Morse tour. We're so nerdy, and we did the Midsummer Murders tour because I watched Midsummer Murders, and that was in a town called Thame, and it had this really old church and this cemetery around it, and people were out there in the field beyond playing cricket, and it's very idyllic. Oxford, very idyllic. And then as we go more north, we get to York. York's like Sacramento.
Huh.
It's bustling and sort of upbeat and friendly, and it has the Harry Potter shopping street in it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like Diagon Alley.
And we did go down there, and we saw all the Harry Potter merch. And somebody was selling Yorkshire pudding cones. They were making cones out of the Yorkshire puddings and just filling it with mashed potatoes and meat and stuff. And it's great.
That sounds really good.
Uh-huh.
I never knew that existed, so I'll have to look that up.
I'll tell you what, if you make it up to Trinidad, there's a place in Trinidad called the Lighthouse, and they make a mashed potato cone.
Oh.
It's very much like the Yorkshire cone, but it's more like an ice cream cone, but it's a savory one with rosemary in it.
Oh, that sounds really good.
And they put mashed potatoes and gravy and brisket and bacon and cheese. So, Lighthouse, Trinidad. You must have one.
So would you say that you're kind of a foodie also when you travel?
Oh, of course. I had to try everything. We ate everything in sight. I ate the blood pudding. I ate the haggis. That was a little... I had to stop with the haggis. I had a bite. Tasted good. But about halfway through the middle of chewing it, I realized I shouldn't be eating it for some reason. It just gave me a feeling like, you shouldn't be eating this. And so I didn't eat more of it.
That's like the sheep's head, right?
It's, no, haggis is sheep lungs.
Oh.
And they were kind of weird. Okay, so everything's in a circle. The blood sausage, the blood pudding, the haggis, it all comes in like a cranberry slice circle. Because they all come in a can. Mm-hmm. They just push them out and slice them, just like the cranberry sauce. That's why they're always round. But, the blood sausage was good, and the pudding, and of course I had the mushrooms and the beans and the bangers, and they have back bacon over there. They don't have streaky bacon, which means you get a very small sliver of fat on your bacon, and most of it's meat. Mm-hmm. So, in fact, you can get English breakfast in Sacramento in several places, and they import that special bacon.
Do you have a favorite?
No, I don't like anything here that they make over there. I'm just ruined for it. I'm just ruined for it.
You've already had the best. So.
I've already had the best. We stayed, and we went to Wales, which, if you go to Wales, you got to go to Aberystwyth. It took me 2 weeks to learn how to say that, so I'm going to say it again, Aberystwyth. It was so great there. It was a beach town. A little idyllic beach community with a pier that goes out with a fancy restaurant at the end of the pier. And there's ice cream and children and dogs and it's just very sweet little town. And they film a show we like to watch there called Hinterland. Mm-hmm. And so we were looking at all the landmarks that were in that show.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were in Aberystwyth. And there's a castle there that is built, that a playground is built right next to, and anybody can just go. They don't charge for it. It's just all overgrown, and you can just run around in this castle. It's amazing.
You can just run around in the castle.
Just run around in this castle. It's amazing. It's just wonderful, and it's just right next to a kid's playground.
Pretty cool.
Mm. And they have shale jutting out of the beach. You know, shale.
Like the rock, yeah.
Right. And they build most of their roof tiles out of shale because they've got so much of it. So all the roof tiles are made of shiny rock, just carved into these nice little Spanish style tiles. Well, not Spanish style because Spanish tiles are kind of like lumpy, but these are straight, but they're made of that. And on the beach, it's mostly shale rock, which has been smoothed over into millions of skipping stones.
Oh,
It's
neat.
just millions of perfect skipping stones.
It kind of reminds me of the Glass Beach up in Fort Bragg.
Right, it's quite a lot like that, but it's all shale rocks and just a dusting of sand here and there. There's not that much sand. There's mostly shale. But it is a really beautiful place. I really liked Wales. And some of the Airbnbs we stayed in were just phenomenal and comfortable. And there's a lot of sheep out there. And after... Oh, yeah, after London we went to... and then, after York we went to Newcastle. And Newcastle was where the Geordie accent is. Mm-hmm. So you've got the cultured accent in Oxford, and then you've got the, how you doing, mate, in Newcastle. So it's a totally different span of people, attitudes, accents, and foods across England. And, of course, I saw... Buckingham Palace, and I saw Albert Hall, and you couldn't cram it all in. And then, of course, we went to Scotland, and I saw a great many things there. And then by the time we got to Sweden, we were just so burnt. We were so done. By the time we got to Sweden, that we just kind of cut it off a week early.
Yeah, that's a long trip to do all these places. It was
supposed to be 5 weeks, but we did 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That was enough. If we weren't going to live there, that was enough.
Yeah.
And I said, next time we go, we're not coming back because it's just too good.
So how did you originally find your passion in travel?
Because of my boyfriend. My husband before had told me that he wanted to travel, but we didn't end up doing it. And then his mother got sick, and she's in Ireland, and he went and saw her twice. I didn't get to go. I wasn't really sore about it or anything because she was dying. She had leukemia, and so he had to go see her. But I would have liked to have gone. I didn't go to Ireland on this trip because it was a 6-hour ferry ride the opposite direction. I'm like, we can't really fit it in. So we did Scotland instead.
The thing interesting I found out about Ireland is that if you have a layover there, you can actually do the customs in Ireland so that when you get back to the United States, you don't have to wait in the customs line. You can just, it's like a domestic flight. So I always recommend that for people traveling to Europe now. Fly Aer Lingus and lay over in Dublin if you can.
Oh, that's really good advice. But yeah, half of his family still lives up there, and he lives in Eureka. He lives in where we used to live. We bought a duplex out there in King Salmon. And when we bought it, we weren't getting along that great anyway. We'd been together a long time. We were married for 18 years. And we bought the duplex, and he's like, this is great. We can rent out the other side. And I'm like, oh, no, mister. You're living in this side, and I'm living in that side. And he said, well, I know how I feel about that. And I said, well, that's what we're doing. And that's what we did. And it was actually very, it was just the medicine we needed at the time because we weren't getting along. And then we would hang out, and I go, well, I'm going home now. I'll see you later.
Yeah, just go out the window and the other.
I'll see you later. Call me when you're over it, and that gave me my power back.
Yeah.
Because as a wife, I was a real pro. I was a domestic servant, for sure. But it was self-imposed. I wanted to do those things, and that was part of my identity. I'd always admired those Japanese girls that geishas, because they have to be educated and they have to be able to speak on all kinds of different subjects. They have to look good and they have to know what they're doing all the time for this job. And I always looked at my marriage as kind of like that kind of job, just being that everything all the time, everything everywhere all the time. It's kind of like what I was doing. I didn't mind.
Yeah.
It was like a personal accomplishment every time I acquired a new skill. It was like a personal betterment Some people don't understand that.
It's fun to learn new skills.
Yeah, and even if you're learning it, you know, because you're, you know, taking care of your family, there's no shame in that. What's wrong with taking care of your family?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you think about some of the places that are in Northern California where you feel most yourself, what comes to mind?
Well, Sacramento's my hometown. But my heart's in two places now because of living up in Eureka for so long. I'm definitely there too. And when I go there, I could pick up my life. If I wanted to, I could go there and live and pick up that job I was doing and just do that till I die. I know that restaurant inside and out, and I know the people, and I used to work for them when it was the father of the woman that's running it now. She's doing it now, and she's great. She's innovated the restaurant, and she's brought on all kinds of new ideas that her father wasn't doing. He had a very simple but very good formula for his restaurant. It kept people coming back all the time. But now we have a different crowd, and I mean some of the locals. We have local recipes that we've kept for the people that still come. But then the people that are traveling, we had lots of really good specials and really exciting specials, an oyster bar and all kinds of fun things, adventurous things. And I could just move there, live there, and work there forever. I have a lot of friends up there still.
What are some things about that area, like around Eureka, that just feel right to you?
I really love the Samoa Beach, and actually not the beach. You got to travel all the way down to the jetty, which is why I always wanted a little boat so that I could just go across the channel to across the bay to the jetty. But then there's the north side as well. The north side is Samoa. The south side is Lolita. So there's two sides of this jetty, and they both have they're not lighthouses, but they're horns that call out boats, because boats come in and out through the channel into the ocean all the time. And the air smells good there.
Yeah.
The air smells really good, and I really like the forest and the trails and the dampness. Even though it's very, very cold, it's very refreshing. And, the crafting stuff and just being, comfortable there. They have some good nightlife. They've got some cool underground scenes that are fun to, play with sometimes. And I don't know. And I know that, he's my ex. And, that's another point. He's not really a he anymore. They've transitioned now. They're called Lisa instead of Sean. And that's been tough for me to get used to, the name thing, because I've known this person since 1986. And so I can call them Lisa all the time, but when I'm referring to them in the before time,
Right.
I call the before time, I always think of them as Sean. And that's another story. My current partner's name is Sean, and I have 2 Sean tattoos for 2 different Seans.
Really? Was that just a twist of fate?
I don't learn, okay? Sorry. Don't learn. Even the tattoo guy was like, you already have a Sean tattoo. I said, yeah, but this is a different one. He rolled his eyes. I thought they were going to get stuck up there. He rolled them so high. But he did it.
That's an interesting story for sure.
Well, thankfully, I met somebody recently who said their dad had two Jennifers. I'm like, yay! We got to form a club of the two tattoo club. Anyway, but that person is still up there, and we're still very good friends. And my current partner is great about that. And when we go up there, we see them, because they've got somebody special in their life now, and they're living in the duplex. It's so very sweet. I'm really glad that they're still up there, and everything is working out for them now, because they had all kinds of problems, and I didn't know what they were coming from. And then when it finally all came out, they got better. They're able to quit drinking so much and stuff like that.
That's good to hear that they're doing well and embracing their new identity.
She's so fabulous now. It's funny watching her portray what she thinks a woman is, like what a woman is to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she says she's modeling everything after me, which is very humbling that I made that kind of impression that I was that good for them during the time we were married, that they want to be me.
And that they were probably internalizing all that all along, and you never even knew,
He'd be so stupid. We'd be out like at the mall, and he'd look at me looking at his shoes. That girl's shoes are stupid. I should have known. And I'm like, what do you care? You want a pair? No. No. And I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to think you do. But we're still very, like I said, we're still very good friends. If I need $20, he's, she's my man. She's my, anyway. And it goes back both ways. Hey, can you help a brother out? Can you help a sister out? And then we do, so it's good. Yeah. We helped each other raise each other's kids. Yeah. They had a son. I had two kids. And so we just raised them together and got through the weeds, because having kids is being in the weeds. Yeah. So.
If you could spend an entire weekend doing just the things that you love doing, what would that weekend look like?
I guess it would be, I really like just poking around in thrift stores on my own. I like going shopping with people, but I don't like to think that I am making them wait or be there longer than they want to be, or the other way around. I like to bring my own car places. I don't like to, carpool as much, so I can leave when I need to or want to. But I'm kind of a gentle person when it comes to, if I'm driving something, I always check it with them when they want to leave. I don't say, I'm driving, we're leaving when I want to. I'm being, I'm not an asshole. So I just say, when do you want to leave? Let me know and we'll go. And there's that, because most of the time I'm ambivalent. Mm-hmm. Once I've made my appearance and said my hellos and I can say my goodbyes, and I leave my tray of whatever, and then I go home. But I like to just poke around in thrift stores and take myself out to lunch, and I call my friends, or I meet up with somebody. I love to meet up with a friend and go do something and talk forever about whatever they're going through or whatever I'm going through. I have a lot of female friends, and we all support each other.
That's good.
Yeah, they're real ones, man. They're not catty girls. They're not fake girls. They're real women with real concerns, political concerns, family concerns. We don't just talk about hair and nails and have pillow fights.
Yeah.
We talk about, valid, important subjects. And for women, nothing is more important than their home life and how they're keeping their home. And my friend right now, one of my closest friends, I'm going to see her after this actually, she's living with her son and her grandchildren, and it's just sweet, three boys. Yeah. And they're just all little and cute. And Christmas is coming, and that's going to be just marvelous. And yeah.
When you go out and go like thrifting and antiquing, where I know you mentioned earlier the place on X Street, but are there other hot spots for that around Sacramento that you like to go to?
There's one I like to go to on 65th and Fruit Ridge, and it's just called the Thrift Store. And I don't know who owns it, but they're not the same prices as like Goodwill. Mm-hmm. They're really cheap over there, and they don't. Like randomly, oh my gosh, I went to Thrift Town over on El Camino.
Oh, the one in Lady Bird, the movie.
Is that the one?
I think there was maybe it was a Netflix movie called Lady Bird where
was there one on El Camino?
Over there, like in Del Paso Heights area.
Yeah, I went to that one, and I was like, oh, what a nice plate, $39. I'm like, are you over here?
Right.
I was like, okay, well, what about this? $20 for a metal thing that held two glass bowls, like for snacks.
That's how I feel about it. Sometimes I like looking around.
It's upsetting. I don't like to be jacked around by a thrift store. You got that shit for free. Yeah. Stop being like that.
Right.
And they're blaming it on resellers, but you know what? Shut up about that. shut up about that because they are allowed to buy something and resell it. It's
Well,
not.
and I feel like they're doing all of the work to take the pictures and
Yeah,
put
I
it
don't think
up.
it's a
And
big deal.
no,
Because I mean, just because someone's going to make more money than you doesn't mean, and it's not even your money. You're the employee. So who's doing this?
and you would have to know that random thrift store had that random thing. Like there's no way
Yeah.
else that you would know other than strolling in there and finding it.
Yeah, I don't do that. I like to buy things um, off Nextdoor and stuff. Yesterday, in fact, or the day before, I got this from a gal. Study cards, survival plant recognition for the Department of the Navy.
That's pretty cool.
These are from the 1960s. And they're just plant identifiers, and they've got poison plants that you should avoid and good plants that you can eat.
I love that.
They're in really good, the cards are in really good shape. The box is, a little bit worn. But I got these for $10. They're very collectible. But I'm not going to resell them. I just like to keep things. So that maybe one day when I'm gone, somebody will run across them in my stuff and go, "Oh, these are cool."
Yeah.
And then I can make somebody else's day with my things
Yeah.
that I've left behind. But I'm not big on reselling.
Yeah.
But I don't harsh anyone that does. I think that's great because we're living in a time when you got to have that hustle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there any places, whether in California or anywhere else, where you go there and it just sort of reminds you of a past stage of your life?
Oh my God, yeah. Just everywhere.
Yeah.
Sacramento is like a dream that follows me on, haunts me all the time, and always brings me home. No matter how many times I leave here, I always end up back.
Yeah.
And Del Paso Heights, it's Natomas at the edge of Del Paso, basically, is where we are. And I have lots of memories there because I lived over on, which is off. And I used to shop at their little corner market for my mom, and I would buy ground beef for 99 cents a pound there and bring it home. And I had my 16th birthday party there. And I went to Grant High School.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Rio Linda High School. I went to Rio Tierra. I went to Golden State and Elkhorn Village. That's Elkhorn Village. That's an old little school in Bright. You know Bright?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so when you go over the Black Bridge, that's Broderick, and then you go a little bit further in, that's Bright.
Can you?
Over the I Street Bridge.
Oh, okay, in like West Sacramento.
Yeah.
Got it.
So West Sacramento is on that side of Reed Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Bright, which is if you just keep going, there's this little suburban community over there that's been there for a very, very, very long time. And that was where I lived. It's right along the levee where the river is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bright.
Interesting.
And then Broderick is over there as well, and then West Sacramento. And it used to be separated by those names, but now they just call it West Sacramento.
Mm-hmm. Oh, isn't Broderick the name of, there's like a little tavern or something
Yes.
down there?
It's 511 Broderick or something like that. I don't remember. I've eaten there before. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Like a good burger.
Cool. What are some of the things that have influenced the places you go and the things that you do?
It never influences the places that I go, but everywhere I go, I find something new to eat. And if I travel to a different state, I try to do something wild there because I don't live there.
Yeah, well, you have to, right?
So I do something wild. I went to Washington to see my cousin, and he was going to be in the Pride Parade, so I got to be in the Pride Parade too. He was doing guar. He had a guar costume, and I was wearing duct tape, and that's it. And I wasn't in this parade. I'm like, why not? It's Pride Parade, so I'm walking around, and I got hot and I got filthy, and it was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I don't live there.
Is it at Washington State?
Yeah.
Or Washington, D.C.?
No, Washington State.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you describe Sacramento to somebody who's never been here before?
I would describe it as a city full of trees, beautiful in the fall. Like right now, it's just stunning downtown. All of the leaves are falling. The trees, There's ginkgo trees, and they're bright yellow, and there's all kinds of red leaves. And I always tell people that downtown is the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's downtown, and South Sac is really neat. And when people tell me I'm from Sacramento and they say Roseville, I'm like, no, you're not. What are you talking about? You're not from Sacramento. Sacramento County is really large.
Right.
But Sacramento City, I don't know. There's a lot of sprawl.
Yeah.
But really, Sacramento has it all. It's got agricultural land. It's got city. Downtown, uptown. Tahoe Park, Curtis Park, the Fab 40s. It's got lots of parks that are nice. A couple of them have really nice ponds in them. And I would say that it just feels very idyllic here. But people do not have a grasp on momentum when it comes to driving.
That is true.
Something about driving in Oakland, like, you'd think it'd be really crazy. But people let you in.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, they speed up so you can't get in.
Yeah. Me first.
Yeah, they're just rude like that. So you have to really assert yourself on the freeway and everywhere else. You have to assert yourself, and you have to be prepared for that middle finger, and just pretend you didn't see that. Just be like, turn up your radio when they're yelling, and just keep on going, keep on trucking.
Do you feel like you have any specific personality traits that help you kind of determine the kinds of places that you feel gravitated towards?
I always feel attracted to nature. I like to go places like that. Not because I want to be alone. I just very, very much like the look of natural places. Mm-hmm. Like the things that kind of low-key bug me are manicured lawns and manicured center dividers and with trees, and it's all designed. I actually used to live next door to somebody who was going to school for that. I said, I just hate that. He's like, I'm going to school for that. I'm like, what? There you go to school for that? For like putting grass and flowers places? And he said, yeah, believe it or not, there's a lot of math that goes into it.
Yeah. Landscape architecture.
And landscape architecture. I'm like, oh my God. I never heard of such a thing. But I didn't go to college, and that's probably why I never heard of such a thing. But I like to go to natural places most of the time. Mm-hmm. And I do love to go to the mall sometimes and just poke around and window shop and get a piece of candy.
Yeah.
And buy a dress. Stuff like that is fun.
I was so excited the one time I went to the Lolly and Pop store in the mall. And they have like the whole wall of gummy bears, every flavor you can imagine. Mm. And I didn't need a ton, I just wanted to try some like for, a snack. And so I got a couple of different flavors that I would like. And the lady at the counter was so nice. And she's like, this is just a sample. You don't need to pay for it. And that just made my day. It was it was so fun.
And which mall was that?
I think that was actually Roseville. The one at Arden. They're like, no, yeah. And the Arden one, there's a store there too, but they're like, no, you have to pay for that.
Oh my gosh, maybe so it's not just me. So I was in Arden Fair Mall, and I was looking for a dress, and I was kind of struggling. It was for a wedding I was going to for a friend, and I couldn't find anything, and by the time I had looked in all the stores, I couldn't find the right thing, and I was so exhausted. And there was this nice-looking kid standing outside the Apple store, and he had Jamba Juice samples. And I was like, oh, my God, you're saving my life right now. Can I have one of those? And he's like, these are only for Apple store customers. And I just started crying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, one of my interesting personality traits is that I don't like the word no.
Yeah.
I don't say it if I can avoid it. And I don't like it being said to me, especially for an arbitrary reason. Mm-hmm. Jamba Juice was right there. They're clearly making these samples all day long. And he just felt like having some power and saying no to me for no reason. And it was really hurtful.
Yeah.
And unnecessarily hurtful. It's like, you're not making them.
Right.
Do I have to go in the Apple store and come back out so I can get one? It made me feel bad. And I just don't like to be told no about arbitrary things. If it's a safety issue, if it's no because we don't have enough, no because these are poison, no because I don't know what else other reason. No, because I just ran out. You have to wait 10 minutes. But not no because I can say it.
Yeah.
I don't care for that.
Can you think of a moment where you either went somewhere or did something and you just had this feeling of like, wow, this moment right here is just for me?
Oh, yeah. I have those moments when I look at sunsets and sunrises. In fact, when I was a kid and I was living in Bright, I would watch the sun come up. And we had this big window that went across that faced across a field at where the school was. And the field didn't have anything in it for a long time. And then after we moved out of there, they built a bunch of houses, so you can't see it now, but you used to be able to watch the sun come up there. Mm-hmm. And watching sunrises has always been like one of those private just for me moments.
If someone really wanted to understand you through the places that you love, where would they go and what should they do?
Old Sacramento. I love Old Sacramento. I love it. You should go there, go to Fanny Ann's, or go to O'Malley's. They have nice, drinks there, and it's fun to go underneath the walkway and walk down K Street. K Street's really fun. Go see a movie at the Crest Theater or Tower Theater. Tower Theater is fantastic. That's where I like to go. Go to Nick's Italian in West Sacramento. It's been there for a long time. If you want to have something nice to eat there. But
is that the one that's kind of in that like motel? Mm-hmm. I've heard family recommend that, and I went there once, and I was like, oh, I don't know, this food is better than it looks.
Yeah, it's just a very old place.
Yeah.
Or go to the river. I always recommend people go to the river, especially Discovery Park because of the convergence of the two rivers. Mm-hmm. That's really special because even if you look at it from Google Map, you can see the Sacramento being green going that way and the American being dark blue going this way, and the twain do not mix. Mm-hmm. They just go right past each other. Like, they don't trade any water. It's really amazing how nature is like that. Mm-hmm. It has its own force.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, so for me, anywhere like any river spot or downtown anywhere is really fun to go, even if you're just going for a walk and you want to look at the trees and stuff like that. I'm very boring. I'm sorry.
That's all. Amazing.
But I know there are some room escapes that they've built out here, and I would love to go to one. I haven't been to one yet. I used to do them on my computer all the time.
Yeah, I've tried to get friends to do it, and they're like, I don't know how I feel about being stuck in a room. It's like, well, it's not. It's a game.
It's really, really fun to play them on your computer, and then there's a little bit of math. So if you go, you bring a little quartet, and you bring someone who's good at math and someone who's good at this and good at that, and then together you work together and you get out of there. But I think they're fun. Yeah. And there used to be a place called Monster Golf. I don't think it's still there. Huh. And it was up in Orangevale by the Spaghetti Factory. Or wait, where Hazel is? Mm-hmm. Or in Folsom Boulevard.
Yep.
There was a Monster Golf, and it had animatronic dinosaurs in it and monsters, and it was all glow-in-the-dark golf. Mini golf.
That sounds really neat, actually.
It was rad. It was rad. They had a party room, and I went to a birthday party there once. I used to do Rocky Horror when I was a teenager. I was one of the characters over there at Birdcage. We did all the dressing up and everything, and we had our little cast. I don't know if you've ever been to Rocky Horror.
I haven't, but my mom was a big fan of that.
Okay, so she would know. I was Columbia, and I wanted that part because she had a tap dance routine. Mm-hmm. So of course, being a performer, I like to do that.
And finally, what's one thing about you that would surprise people who might only know Felicia on like a surface level?
I don't know. I don't know many people on a surface level. Like a stranger, like if I was meeting a stranger, they might, I've got my stranger face. And I usually give tone for tone mm-hmm. when I meet people. If they're a certain way, I compliment that certain way so that I can meet with them in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so that they don't feel uncomfortable. I'm always concerned about other people's discomfort or comfort when they're speaking with me or interacting with me at all. And because I don't want to be off-putting. So even if someone's off-putting to me, I always think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, look at this human is behaving in a strange way. I must know them. Those are the people I'm attracted to and become friends with.
Yeah, I think that's a great personality trait to have, honestly. Well, Felicia, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and enjoy Northern California.